And welcome back to the Flickering Torch Podcast. This is Mr. Dead Scott.
And Smite.
Oh, Smite?
Yeah.
No?
Smite, well, yeah, but...
It's easier, I guess?
It's easier.
It'll save me a lot of typing.
I prefer to go by Smite, but most of the time that's taken by someone, so I have to go by Smite this.
Is that why you're Smite the Discord channel?
Huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer Smite, but like I said, whenever you try to get like any common username, it's taken.
Oh, yeah.
So,
No, I know the feeling.
But, I mean, in Dungeons & Dragons, you can be whatever you want to be. Which leads us to our topic today.
Because we going old school. I mean, I forgot my dice, so shame on me. But we're going to start pulling out character sheets. I'm going to bust out my number 2 pencils.
And paper cuts.
And ooh, yeah, lots of paper cuts. And we're going to start casting magic missiles.
Oh, yeah, all day. You can't run away because they always
hit. They tickle, but they hit.
If you're lucky, we may lay on hands a little. Paladin joke.
My attorney says we shouldn't say that.
That'd be great if someone implemented like a DM restraining order.
Oh my god! Oh, I thought you meant like a character class attorney.
No, I mean like just to have restraining orders so your paladin couldn't heal you.
I could see that like town crier, like hear ye. This latest doctorate that has been written up by the great grandmaster has stated that touching is inappropriate of any sort. Lay on hands shall not be accepted.
Oh,
what? But how am I supposed to heal this guy?
Ranged only.
Ranged. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it,
so you chop off your hand and throw it at him?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, no one bathes in D&D. No one opts in and be like, okay, I'm bathing now. So, I mean, think about it. That's how you avoid plagues and someone else's germs.
Good point. I think in all the sessions when I have free time at the inn, I've never bathed.
Yeah. Everyone I know just gambles and hookers all the time.
Oh, I karaoke'd on the last one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
That was great.
Anyways, we got totally off topic of our topic. But so yeah, we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons, early 70s. I think there's been prototypes before that with the original creators, but Dungeons and Dragons all the way up to 5th edition, and there's also little offshoots, which are a lot of great games.
They're fun.
Me personally, I've never tried original Dungeons and Dragons or Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
I think the earliest version I played was 3.0. No, wait, I think I played 2 point something.
I played 3.5 was my earliest, but I didn't start into it late because I never had anyone to play with.
Oh yeah, or the immediate response is nerds.
Yeah,
and yeah, it goes.
I don't mind being a nerd.
Yeah,
I was always smarter than everyone. So.
Should I? No, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna dig that.
I'm done did smarter than you.
Yeah. Smartest 1 out of 5 doesn't count. Here.
Yeah, it's true. But all right, so let's
let's crack into this. So, what is D&D, my friend?
Well, it's everything and whatever you want it to be. It is.
It's unicorns and puppy dogs.
It can be actually
that I murder with my sword.
I mean, there are unicorns and puppy dogs in which you can murder, depending on your, balance. Chaotic evil, you'd probably murder a unicorn.
Oh, I thought that was lawful good.
Well, in a sense, yeah.
It was infringing on my religious beliefs as a holy warrior paladin. I had to kill it. I had to. My gods demanded.
It was eating grass off my lawn.
I had to kill it. I had to kill it.
But so it's a fantasy tabletop game. Pen, paper. It's classified as tabletop because
we actually use a table, not computer or console or what have you,
in which you use your imagination and
the what now?
Yeah, most people don't have it.
I sold mine a long time ago for a Yoo-hoo and an outrageous.
Oh no, that was your soul.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
My bad.
But so imagination, dice, basic math, and lots of junk food, and also people. You usually can't play without other people unless you have split personalities. But even then, it might get awkward.
That would be interesting.
Can you have love interest when it's just you and your split personalities? Let's hope not. So don't answer that.
Wouldn't that be considered masturbation?
Yeah, but let's not.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't supposed to answer that. My bad. Oops.
Anyway.
Yeah, go for
it. How do you explain it?
So me, like, the way I explain like what D&D is like it's more or less like I like it because of its storytelling aspect.
Yeah,
like it's somebody who more or less like decides to tell a story. and wants to invite friends or random strangers or maybe that attractive person you've had your eye on for a while to share this experience with them. Now, sometimes this storyteller can be quite cruel, sometimes incredibly funny, sometimes really casual, other times super serious, but I think it's like a great example of like storytelling in a game-esque setting.
It's an interactive storytelling.
Yeah.
Because if it was just storytelling, it would be like reading a book. But
yeah,
someone's creating it and then prompts the users for actions, which you don't necessarily need dice, math, pencil, paper. You like original Dungeons & Dragons Advanced, you could do without, or you did without.
Well, even when we watched Harmon Quest, like they weren't actually like rolling dice to see if they hit something. They're just like, I swing my axe at this thing like a badass.
Yeah.
Okay, you hit it. And you did 2 points of damage. Sorry, you tickled it.
I like that because
I thought it was cool.
It's less like metagame, less focus on things, less like, oh, we got to worry about each and every skill point, because when it comes to dice and math and all that stuff in it, it's like you're trying to grind every skill point because you get your ass handed to you.
Yeah.
So many levels. So I kind of like just the imagination where it's like, it gives you more, instead of like trying to calculate, it's like, should I hit the ceiling and see if the ceiling collapses? Or, kind of gives you the more imaginative
I had a buddy who made a game based on that kind of concept. It was called Fighting Words. I don't know if you ever published it, but you were given, I told you this before, you were given like a character card, like an actual card.
Yeah.
And it said you are a elven mime. And you have two abilities. One is, he called it like mime-mancy or something, where like you would mime an action and you would do it. So
that's kind of cool. Okay.
If you pulled out like a bow and arrow with your hands and let loose, you would actually shoot an arrow, a telepathic arrow. And then you would only have 2 hits that each character had 2 hits they could take. And so after you took that first hit, you could do your normal attack or a desperation attack. And I can't remember what the desperation attack was for the mime, but I was a dwarf. A dwarven like paladin with a hammer, which seems kind of weird. And my desperation attack was like an AoE shockwave. Like I would hit the ground and it would cause like an earthquake to hit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would just swing a hammer. But the basis of the story was, if it's feasible based on your character and it sounds like you can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. It's no calculation. You just imagine.
There's no restriction whatsoever. But like if you say like, oh, I pull out a machine gun and I waste all 4 of these guys. We don't use machine guns because they don't exist.
Yeah.
Secondly, you don't have any ranged experience as, a blacksmith. So no. Yeah. You wasted your turn.
Yeah. I like that. Besides the mime-mancy or whatever he said sounds pretty awesome. The only thing is, like, when I first heard of that, I'm like, you're an elf, so you live long, and your profession's a mime. No!
Yeah,
like, that poor soul.
Pure torture and torment.
But the way you explained it is like he's not telepathy, but
yeah, it was like kinetic, mind bullets, if you will, in one form or another.
Yeah,
but
there you go.
But it was cool too because like he also had set up treasures you could actually acquire throughout the game. And, like, they were just set treasures. You couldn't make them up. They were set treasures to kind of steer the story a little bit. But if you guys should look it up if you get a chance, our one loyal listener, to Fighting Words.
But that's one of the offshoots, like we're talking about, is, like, D&D is so broad. There is a specific D&D campaign where they provide books, stories, and core rules, which have grown from, they still allow a ton of imaginations, but they add a lot of mechanics, and you can choose to use them or not, and they provide a lot of materials to do whatever you want. Basically, they just give you the idea and the starting path and let you do whatever the hell you want.
Which is fun.
And I've seen so many house rules, cut rules used in D&D. Like, it's rare that some people go exactly by the book. I mean, it's possible and it's doable.
I've heard of groups that do that, but I've never been a part of any.
I mean, I've did one where I was really close by the book, and it wasn't a problem. I mean, it was a lot of dice rolling, a lot of number counting, but that's 3.5 edition. They're on 5 now. 4 was just kind of like action arcade.
Yeah, I heard 4 was hack and slashy.
But which was cool. It's just like I never feared of dying because we had like so many second winds and healing. So it's like just
saving throw.
Yeah, when your cleric's like totally fine all the time.
You're golden.
Yeah, it's kind of a little weirdly balanced. So let's go, I guess, the...
Basic rules, or... 'Cause, I mean, we kind of actually explained what the setup is. It's a group of people together telling a story that's interactive, and depending on the version you play, you use dice, you use math. Pathfinder, for example, which is one of the offshoots, holy Toledo, like, it's great, but I feel like I'm constantly juggling 2 ledgers at the same time. Like, I'm an accountant, and, like, the owner keeps adding stuff without telling me, and I'm trying to balance the worksheets. That's a lot of numbers.
And that's based off 3.5, basically, of Dungeon, which I like, but yeah, there is a lot. I mean, so when it breaks down to a normal character sheet, you have HP, you have attack, you have an armor class, and
reflex save, will save, fortitude save,
and then you have like 30 different skill choices to do, like climbing and acrobatics and things like diplomacy, that, and like crafting and a ton of things, like anything you can imagine. And they also allow others, but all those have different skill points based off your core stats of strength, dexterity, constitution,
this will be fun.
Intelligence,
and
charisma,
and
wisdom.
Yeah, okay.
So those are your core stats. I believe they're the same in Pathfinder, right?
Pretty much.
Okay. So those give you, you rolled those at the beginning using dice, and then based on what number you rolled of like the best of 3 added together out of 4, you get to add those up to a certain number, and depending on the number, you get a modifier, and those modifiers will help you calculate the rest of your skills. And so you go through the player's handbook, and
the tome, you mean?
The tome, yeah. And you figure out your skills and choose your spells depending on your class, and your bonuses for human or whatever race you are.
Everybody
Bonuses for wizard. Actually, I like doing elf wizard. Yeah, I don't know why. Just live forever, suckers. And so you get, I mean, it's a lot of math, but at the same time, you could do it without. You could just be like, I'm an elf wizard.
Yeah.
I wear a robe all day.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nice thing too, is that it literally is at that person who's telling the GM's discretion, the game master or dungeon master's discretion. Like, yeah, sure, like, let's just play a real simplified version where you guys have, like, here's your base weapons, they do this amount of damage, this is your health, don't die.
Yeah. And so the core mechanic is you basically roll a d20 for your actions. You hit or you miss depending on
what have you,
armor classes, and then you roll certain dice to hit with your weapon or to do damage. And so everything uses a die, different types, of course. I think they use a D4. I've seen D3, which are ridiculous.
D3 are weird.
Yeah, so it's like 1D4 for the minimal, all the way up to D100s.
Yeah.
So
which aren't as great as they sound.
Yeah, no. So there's variation in a ton of different things, mechanics, but basically you roll dice and you use your imagination to play out the story.
How you want the story to go, or how it's steered. But so again, we could talk for hours about mechanics. So let's talk about just D&D in general, on the lines of, like, sadly there's a stigma with D&D, because I know I've experienced it. I know you've experienced it. D&D, or any version of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, is super ultra nerdy by society standards.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because it's really damn good. It's really fun. Like, if you can get a good core group and hang out with and meet on, like, a weekly basis or something, you can have a shit ton of fun very, very cheaply.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you just have everyone pitch in a few bucks and get a pizza.
Yeah, get a pizza, a couple sodas or beer, what have you.
Yeah. And you get to hang out for hours and just play a game. I mean, if you don't like socializing with certain people, I mean, you have a game to bridge the gap, or play that into your storytelling.
Yeah. I hate you.
Yeah. It's a good way to tell feelings. But that also leads into my suggestion of, whereas role-playing is embarrassing, people think of it as, like a stigma or whatever, because they're afraid of role-playing and what they aren't a part of, or what they think. Are we getting
philosophical here with you?
Well, I'm just saying, it's just like, to me, at first when I was doing it, I was embarrassed.
Oh yeah, me too.
When I'm around friends and I'm like, I'm supposed to role play, but now I'm like la 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 la. I'll go crazy now. But it leads people to, like, frown on you when you role play, and it gives them the opinion of nerdiness. Also, being fantasy themed, for some reason that's deemed nerdy. Which there are some aspects which are totally nerdy. But there's nothing wrong I mean, everyone loves Lord of the Rings, and there's bloody elves and dwarves in it.
Yeah, what the hell?
So, I mean, but fantasy theme doesn't help. There are also, sci-fi and things like that, but the core one is fantasy.
Yeah. I think that's classified as what, like high fantasy? Or
For sci-fi?
No, for like D&D because it has dragons and things like that.
Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember how it breaks down. I don't care.
Yeah, neither do I.
It's just fun.
I just love dragons. I'm just saying, they'll burn the shit out of you or melt you, whatever. Different types of dragons. What? Sorry, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do I have to get the bestiality? Or
the bestiality?
How do you pronounce that word?
Bestiary.
That's the
bestiality. That went a way dark route. Wow.
Do I have to get that book out again? I can't pronounce, by the way, if you guys haven't figured this out yet.
Yeah, well, that is two way different things. I don't sleep with dragons, okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, your imagination. So that leads to what your suggestions were.
Well, with memes and such, and jokes, and I'm sure probably everybody of a certain era has seen like the meme riff on like the group of guys playing Dungeons and Dragons, where like one guy wants to get drunk at the bar and wants to hit on women who's in the kitchen getting food, which some guys do that, and then another one like I attack the darkness, which is the all-time classic D&D reference, which I hate to say. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that comes out of stuff like that, and sadly, a lot of it is negative. I mean, there are core groups out there. There are societies. The Roll20 is a great program to meet people and play games like that.
Yeah, which we need to use.
Yeah, I used it with a group of guys, and it went fine. One of them was like a D&D expert and made like a broken character at level 4, and it's like.
Stand that.
He's like, oh, I flip over the boss with my acrobatic skill, one-shot him with a sneak attack, with my dual-wielding daggers, a vampiric strike, and fully heal myself and kill it. And it's like, you succeed because you made a broken character. Like,
yeah.
I didn't even get a chance to take a turn that round, actually. I think, like, I was holding a torch the whole time.
Hey, you're the torch guy.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a torch guy.
Yeah, the guy with the bow and arrow, a two-handed bow and arrow, is holding a torch.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, that way you can craft a little harness that you hold a torch right next to your hair. I mean, come on. Creative here.
And when I catch fire?
Yeah, or just get a flaming bow. Look at the torch guy, being useful. He'd be like, you guys will miss me when I'm gone. You try finding your way out, assholes.
Yeah, when I put this torch down, yeah, I bet you'll hit. Yeah. I have dark light vision. Fuck you.
See, there's all walks of life that play D&D in game and out of game. I mean, that's the great thing about it is like you get experts, which if you're like that kind of thing and being with them, you guys could try to micromanage like the crap out of your characters and all that stuff. Or do you just get casual gamers, or you get husbands and wives like like me and Cheyenne.
I've never played with like a couple, like a couple D&D session or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, you think I'm gonna get Leah to play?
Nah. Maybe she could be the dwarf.
You're lucky she can't hear this.
Yeah, I know.
Or listen, for that matter.
She would murder me. Oh.
So our own personal experiences about embarrassing with D&D. God, I remember once like my roommates at the time who were nerdy. When we were playing Star Wars Galaxies, which is like one of my all-time favorite D&D offshoots.
And I never got to play it.
Oh, it's a shame. We should try to get a group going. We were playing that at the house, or the apartment, I should say, that we were renting. And like I had like a group of people with me, and like somebody was telling the story, and like I could tell like they were just laughing their ass off all night. Now the funny thing is that both of them actually play D&D on a regular basis more than I do. But like I remember doing that and like having to like go outside, and like we actually went to a park to try to play, and then like people walking by at the park even made fun of us playing. We weren't LARPing, for crying out loud. Like it was just dice.
Yeah,
like it was amazing. And it's like, so that kind of scared me for a while on that, like, and like you wouldn't talk about, oh yeah, I've played D&D before, because it's like ultimate label right there.
Yeah, and which is weird. It's like I don't know how that label came to, like, I mean there's obviously tropes and stuff on how, but it's like I don't know how it came to be, just because you use your imagination. Big deal. That's how cartoons are created. That's how movies are created, just in a different way.
I mean, God, like role playing, that's how they create porn.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's all fake. I mean, literally every part is fake.
Sure.
Yeah. Snip, snip.
Okay, you're back.
Anyways, so like, yeah, embarrassing actually. When I first tried to, because I really wanted to get into it, and I've always loved fantasy. in the idea of Dungeons and Dragons, but I never had anyone. So I tried to get some high school friends, and this was before I met with my wife. So my my best friend at the time was totally down for it, and then my other friend was like, sure, yeah, and he had his girlfriend, and she wasn't really into it, and so they were like kind of flirty the whole time, and so I'm nervous trying to make the story, not understand the full mechanics of it, and I tried to do this, and it totally fell apart, and I kind of stayed away from it for a while until I found a DM to do it for me, and got into like a game creating class in the college. So I stayed away from it for a long time because it was embarrassing because they weren't into it, and I was trying to do this, and it just kind of fell apart. So it can be embarrassing, but don't let it be embarrassing. Yeah, you just got to find the right people, which that's something we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, that'll take some time. So we've already kind of talked a couple offshoots about D&D because it's, obviously Dungeons & Dragons is kind of a core thing that things have built off of.
Yep.
Like Pathfinder is a more popular one. A lot of people who really like stats will play Pathfinder. I've played 3 Pathfinder campaigns, and they get pretty damn intense. Like, you can get broken pretty quick without realizing it, super overpowered without realizing it. I know the last one I was playing that we didn't finish, because heaven forbid we ever finish one. I had gotten the what's it called, the Oathbringer bow, where you whisper death to that enemy, and you pull the arrow back, and if your modifier and whatnot is high enough, the thing pretty much explodes.
See, that's the part on the DM though, to try to avoid giving you loot of glory.
Yeah, but with the skills that I had set up and the traits I had set up, I would go point blank shot with a bonus to this and this with weapon proficiency and weapon mastery, and my modifier for dex was through the roof, and when I hit the thing I rolled a crit, which
were you an ass? You just aim the other, you turned around, turned your back towards the enemy, and you whispered death towards it, and
just go, and it just went right through.
Oh, you're one of those guys. Show off.
Yeah, I pointed it straight up and just waited for it to hit him.
Wait till you try to shoot without a torch, guy.
Yeah. But other offshoots like Star Wars Galaxies, that was my all-time favorite. Oh my god, I would kill to play more of that with people.
Yeah.
We definitely need to get a group going on that one. Munchkin's technically classified as a D&D offshoot. It's a light version, I would argue.
Yeah, it depends on what. There's a lot of variations of Munchkin and a lot of themes. There is some storytelling and stuff, but it's not really DM controlled.
Right.
It's more of the stories are kind of laid out in front of you, but there are mechanics for someone to DM in a sense. But there's so many different variations of Munchkin, so I would imagine it could fall under that category, but I've never witnessed it.
Yeah, I most of the time people don't get that creative. They just let the cards do the storytelling. But because it's the same thing with Dungeon Roll when we play all the time. I try to put a little dumb story with it, even though the rules are really set and it's pretty obvious what you do.
It always goes to shopping markets.
I like making Walmart a dungeon of evil. I don't know why. It's just funny.
Well, it's fitting. But yeah.
I've never played Shadowrun. Have you?
No, but I have a few friends who do. But that's the sci-fi techie where no one's really... I mean, you're kind of a rebellious sort in that. But I've had a lot of people I know play it, and they love it. Because, it's sci-fi punk technology.
Yeah, cyberpunk.
So they're cybernetics and all this cool gadgety shit. I guess it's very different. It relies heavily on D6 compared to D20s and stuff, although they are involved. But a lot of it's just simple D6 rolls, I guess.
That would make it a lot easier for everything.
Yeah, but I've never played it, read into it. It looked cool. I've played the games based, video games based off Shadowrun. So don't judge me for my knowledge on it, but it looked really interesting because I like sci-fi tech, funky stuff. So, all right. So that's in. Of course, there's hundreds more. There's a ton of Star Wars alone. There's also a ton of Dungeons and Dragons
offshoots
that are actually Dungeons and Dragons. They're not necessarily offshoots, but there are a lot of just core Dungeons and Dragons themselves that they change mechanics and shit. So the great thing about D&D and what it has done to society.
Yeah, I was trying to focus a little bit on the good things that you can get out of D&D, because believe it or not, there's actually a ton. Anyone who's played knows this. There's a ton of great like skills, traits, things like that you can actually adapt in real life.
Yep.
And use. I mean, like, because when you think about it, D&D at times, and we'll get into this, of course, does teach you teamwork. It does teach you, like, communicating with people to express how to tackle the story or explain your thought, or, like, you can have two arguments, actually have an argument, or two arguments. You can have two characters. Wow, I'm not even drunk. By the way, this is a sober recording. I'm sorry.
It is.
You can have two fellow adventurers actually have an argument, but it may be story related, maybe, but at that same time, it would teach you how to argue in one form or another in real life without, eviscerating somebody.
Yeah.
Or screaming, "I'm right!" Ah!
I mean, you actively have one person working against you. That's the DM.
That's true.
And so you and your fellow groups, who are underpowered compared to the dungeon master, have to work together to overcome these challenges thrown at you. So there's a lot of teamwork. Because if you don't have a cleric, you're dumb, because you're going to get owned.
We didn't have one in the last campaign, but the DM was very friendly about healing potions.
So, okay, you're not dumb, I guess. You have to have a friendly DM, but...
Well, because our cleric bailed on us after the first session.
Okay.
Dick.
So, healing potions galore.
Yeah. I have like 20.
But, so, I mean, you need to work on it, because, like, without your ranger support, getting close to some types of enemies is impossible.
Oh, yeah.
And that leads into problem solving and critical thinking. And there's a ton of situations that you need to think out. And what skill do I use? Do I use this spell here, or save it for later because you only have a set amount? Or do I drink this potion, or do I save it? There's a lot of problem solving and thinking outside the box. Do I fire an arrow, or like I was mentioned earlier, do I shoot the loose rocks in the ceiling and crumble?
And hope, yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, besides just trying to guesswork it, but there is a lot of critical thinking and problem solving.
And if your DM is pretty cool about it, like, that's sometimes, like, because I remember my buddy in Seattle, he ran a session where if you were to find, like, a non-violent other way to solve the scenario, like there's a dragon, like, instead of killing it, like, we relocated it to a more safer habitat for it, like, you actually got, like, bonus rewards, you got bonus XP, things like that. Not to steer it that way, but to give you the option.
Yeah.
Because, you can kill it. It'll probably screw you up, but you can probably kill it. Or you can relocate it, and the townspeople could actually benefit from the dragon, and maybe they'll toss you a little extra loot or something.
Yeah. I mean, definitely.
What else?
Socializing, sense of community, that kind of goes with teamwork, but you have like 6 friends over, or
most of the time.
5, however many. So you do socialize. I mean, hell, I would love to do a session with you before too long. I mean, just to hang out. I mean, if not play a ton.
You want to spend more time with me aside from the recordings?
Well,
I'm scared.
If you've done firing my ass, I'm a co-host. You can't fire me. Torch guy.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Hashtag torch guy. I hate that term too. Pound sign torch guy.
Pound sign, not pound sound. Wow. Pound sound.
Okay, see, we don't even have to drink to make comedy. Okay, so obviously, great thing is, like, if you're the DM or the one in charge, it actually encourages you to, again, use your imagination and have storytelling, have world building, actually create a scenario.
Even not being a DM, as a character, you get backstory options.
That's true.
And you get kind of, like, swayed the story in your favor.
That was one of the cool things I liked about when we were watching Harmon Quest, was, like, how they gave themselves backstories without actually explaining their backstory.
Yeah.
Like, how he was a coward and his father had left him. And
it's not...
like, and it was so subtle, it worked perfectly.
Yeah, yeah. And he played it out really well.
Oh, yeah.
But that's kind of nice. If you do simple, it's easy to remember the simple things and play through them throughout a campaign. I miss Harmon Quest.
I do too. I'm waiting for season 2.
Is there going to be one?
I think. I hope. God, I hope
so.
Diabetes joke. I don't know what you mean by that.
What? I totally don't remember.
Okay, our script. We
okay. Oh, yeah. No, I remember because of all the snacks. And all the Mountain Dew. Because, the generic, like, Funyuns and Mountain Dew. It's like he's just sitting around.
First it was Doritos and Mountain Dew.
I prefer Doritos and Pepsi.
Okay.
So yeah, I know, but that's the thing is like everyone health benefits. I mean, it doesn't have to be that way, but it typically ends up being chips and soda a crap ton of the time. So.
Although I think the last, and this is a very different scenario than one of the last like actual sit down sessions I did, where I was a guest character. It was actually like cured meats, expensive beers. Like stinky expensive cheeses. Like it was really fun.
That's awesome.
It was great.
I'd love to do that.
I think it was like $100.
I mean, it's kind of worth it though. You have one night every few weeks or whatever that you do that. Mm-hmm. Fuck, why not?
My character died at the end too.
Oh, he turned into the cured meat.
More or less.
Okay.
Again, promotes imagination, outside the box thinking, because that's a given. But D&D does a really good job of that with the problem solving and critical thinking. It makes you want to, come up with like a different way and kind of thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. And of course, creativity, like you said.
Oh yeah, I did both. Oops.
Yeah. But I mean, the big thing is just world design. There's so many benefits to people. It's like video games. There are benefits, but a lot of people don't see past the negativities and judge it for what they only see, which is negative.
The negatives.
But there's tons of positives for it. But now that we speak of negatives, so there are things that could negatively ruin your D&D experience or your role-playing experience, and simply just the players or the DM.
Yep.
You could have a bad DM who doesn't know what they're doing, or who doesn't adjust to his players, or who's not willing to budge, or who's hardcore rules. If the DM doesn't fit your players, or if your other players in the group don't fit you, it's not going to be a great session. I mean,
no way.
They can definitely ruin games. I mean, I had one that's like, he always had to speak, always had to talk, had to be loud. Always had to be like the first one to do anything and try to micromanage everyone else's character all the time.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And, he wasn't a bad person at the time. But it's like, yes, we get you want part of the story, but don't try to control my character. Yeah. Don't try to say, hey, you should do this. Like, let me think it over and think of the best solution, because, two brains are better than your damn opinion. And he was always the one who wanted to, like, hookers and drink all the time and ask stupid questions where we couldn't, like, to the point where we forgot the main focus of, like, the story or the quest.
Ouch.
And we'd lose focus on it. And so when it came down to him shutting up finally, we couldn't remember what we had to ask him to do, or he put us in a pit against the characters because he was so difficult. Yeah. And it would spend like 8 hours and not get past the first like intentional hour of the game out of like say 4. So we'd spend twice the amount of time to get like an eighth of the way.
Yeah.
So
but that's true. It's usually like I've encountered DMs where like for some strange reason I was the pincushion. Like every attack that could happen came towards me. Yeah. Like it's just like, it attacks you. I'm in a tree. Like, well, it jumps up and hits you. It has no legs. It's just like a slug.
Yeah.
It hits you. Okay. Reflex save? No? Okay. Well, all right. So yeah, it does happen. Like, yeah. And then of course, like, there's like the fitting type with the groups of players. Like, you could have a bunch of people who maybe want to be very pure about the game and want to make it like an actual classic quest and campaign.
Huzzah.
Or you may have a group of guys who just wanted to be casual and like, yeah, let's have fun. Like, let's enter the horse racing competition.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the bounty later, like stuff like that. Or you get the one where it's a mixture of both groups and ends really badly, really quick.
Yeah, it's when you mix the really different styles, sometimes it just ends bad. I mean, you could have someone who likes skills, but as long as they're willing to budge, it could end up good. But yeah, you get that one stray person, you could totally just F it up.
So now we're actually going to talk about the part that's actually really fun, is the part I was kind of looking forward to when we discussed the topic, was telling our best stories, like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 fast ones, and then our most epic fails, because I've got tons of epic fails. Oh my god.
I don't remember much of mine. It's been a long time.
Oh, like your best encounters or things like that?
Yeah, I don't.
So, okay, I'll start off then. I got one. We were playing Star Wars Galaxies, and I was a tech specialist. And normally tech specialists can't use like blasters because they're not skilled to that. So I spent a trait to get proficiency in, blasters. And because it's like, yeah, I'm the guy who repairs everything and decodes and gains access and whatnot, but like I need to be somewhat useful in combat aside from a stun baton.
Yeah.
And so I had like just a standard like heavy hunting blaster more or less. And we were going up against this like big giant jackal kind of thing. I can't remember what it was called or what it was named because it was like 15 years ago. And like the Jedis were having a hard time hitting it, and my buddy who was like a mercenary was having a hard time hitting it. And so I'm like, well, like there's no way I'm gonna hit this damn thing, but what else am I gonna do? I'm just the tech specialist, so I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot and roll the dice. Fucking thing comes up as a 20. So I crit the attack chance, so I crit the hit, and then I roll the dice again, and I crit again. And so the DM is just like, so you expertly point your blaster at this jackal, make a silent prayer to your god, pull the trigger. As it jumps up to lunge at one of your colleagues, you square it perfectly in its heart and kill it instantly. And it's like, boom.
Just became proficient yesterday.
Yeah, just
expert.
Yeah, marksman shot after I just learned the proficiency skill. Like that was probably one of my like more triumphant moments.
You should have said something like, "Oh, I was just trying to turn it on."
Yeah, like, oh, that's how you shoot it. Oh, I should have thought of that. That'd have been great. Like that's one of like the good stories. Like I was talking earlier in Pathfinder when I got that Oathbringer bow. Like, I mean, I didn't realize how powerful it was going to be. I did a multi-shot with using the enchantment on it to kill.
Yeah.
And like the first one hits and does crazy damage, and then the DM had set it to where like the second shot was the Oathbringer shot, and it just exploded whatever I hit. It was awesome.
That would be fun.
But like the scenario was awesome because we were like in a cathedral. I was a ranger and I climbed up on one of the upper balconies to get a higher vantage point. So I wasted 2 turns getting up there. And then we fought against a group of cultists. And like one of them, you couldn't harm the main boss without harming like the sub boss, if you will. And so I was up there, and like the bard was up there with me, and he was singing and doing a bunch of other stuff and whatnot, giving boons and probably drinking. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows what they do.
And so like the barbarians down there, the rogues down there, and I can't remember what else. I think we had a monk that was down there as well. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, because like I found out that like shooting the main boss, he had some sort of barrier up where all ranged attacks did nothing.
Yeah,
they were just totally negated. So climbed all the way up there, and I'm like, I'm gonna shoot, the other guy who's attacking an NPC. I didn't think he was any part important whatsoever. And so when I fired and exploded him, all of a sudden this barrier went down, and then it was just rain on this guy's parade. He died within like 2 moves. But it was so cool because it's like I didn't think about that. And he just exploded when I shot him.
Yeah.
Like, even the DM's like, yeah, you hit him so hard in the head that the arrow actually bifurcated his face. Oh, damn. And blood and guts went everywhere. It was a little gory, but, whatever.
Yeah.
But those were some fun stories. So, like, those were my more crowning moments.
That's probably a good one. I'd say one of mine, it was like, we were playing 4th edition, and of course I was the cleric because
you like being the cleric, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I don't remember. I had like, you had certain amount of low level healing, right? And I forgot we were versing these bunch of low levels that only did like 1 or 2 damage, and everyone had only like 1 or 2 damage, so they'd be like on death's door, and I'd just go over there like touch, and it was just kind of like ring around. They were just like touch, heal. Okay, they're back on the fight for a round, do another round, and be like, okay, go over to this guy and touch him. He's down, So it was just kind of like just go back and forth, bouncing around.
So you were playing like Duck Duck Goose with healing?
Yeah. So I mean, that one was funny. I don't remember a lot of epic moments because like a lot of our campaigns fell short due to some interesting characters.
Yeah, I get it.
One of the ones is just getting killed by wolves while my friends ran away because they hit the heels, and you trip when you get hit from the heels. And so it was 4th edition again, and I forgot, it was like some stupid crazy high amount of trip rating? When
I never played 4th, but I think I know what you're talking about. There's something that... Yeah.
Have you ever versed wolves, ever?
No.
Because, yeah, you get, like... They have, like, a certain high percentage of, like, biting you, and that would knock you down. And that was, like, 3 of them. And everyone else was low health. Not my fault, because I spent my healing on them. But somehow I got ambushed, and so... every time they attacked me, they'd knock me back. And so those bastards, low health, left me for dead. They ran off, and my character died.
So is that your crowning achievement, or
it was hilarious,
okay.
And I enjoyed it at the same. Like, I hated it, but I enjoyed it because there's nothing I could do. I'd get up and instantly be brought back down.
Oh man!
So I just kind of like slapped him while I was on the ground. Go out like a cleric should.
My face! Oh God, my face!
Yeah, I think they somehow resurrected me later. I think the demon was nice. He's like, that was not meant to happen. This is supposed to be a small random encounter. So he resurrected me, and I think everyone else ended up dying on the next adventure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so, kind of balance it out.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that's actually how it went. Is I was resurrected, but it didn't make sense for how things went. So everybody died, and we restarted the campaign.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
I get
the
that.
same characters though. But.
Yeah. The gods saw fit to give you a second chance at life because you clearly fucked up at the enchanted money.
Yeah. Alternate realities.
Most epic fail. I think you kind of described one. You got any others?
No. The problem is I don't remember.
Oh, dude, I got tons of epic fails, and I've witnessed tons of epic
fails.
fails.
I haven't played as much as I'd like, and like I said, a lot of it's just it's more of not epic fails during the game. But nothing super memorable. I mean, I fell off a castle once.
Oh, it's not memorable. I just fell off a castle.
I mean, like you get like the broken sections of the wall. I forgot. I think I was trying to do a reflex save to like climb up, and like the DM's like, "Oh yeah, you climb to the top, but the boulder breaks and you fall back down," because I rolled like so low, and so I fell off a castle once. I don't know any crowning achievements for failure. So.
Okay, so I got a couple. That same campaign where I was the tech specialist in Star Wars Galaxies, the DM did something really cool. He started us all off in separate rooms, as in like we went into like the back room at someone's house, and you'd spend an hour and a half, and he would tell you your backstory more or less, and how you guys all met, and then you would come together and actually start and continue the story from there. So that was pretty cool. During my solo campaign of it, I was investigating a frigate that had come back from some deep space mission and was just doing routine checks on it, but I had found like a bunch of weird extra wiring and a lot of weird like modules that were set up and whatnot, and upon investigating further and following them, I found that it was a timed bomb. And so he's like, you got to get out, and I'm like, I book it. Like, I grab my stuff and I run. I leave the droid to die. I don't care. It wasn't mine. It's no biggie. And so I book it. I'm running through the ship, and like he does a couple reflex saves, and like I succeed with most of them, because the bombs aren't going off, but like I'm running pretty fast, and there's some tight corridors and whatnot. So we get to the end where you actually climb down the rampway to get into the hangar. I'm at the last section, and he's like, okay, roll one more time for me. I roll a 1. And he looks at me and he's like, oh shit. I'm like, yeah, so what happens to me? He's like, well, I didn't expect you to fuck up that badly. Okay, so as you're running through the last part of the ship, weaving and dodging beautifully between like the low-hanging beams and supports, you make it to the ramp. You're almost there. You can taste it. In your haste, you're not paying attention, and you clip yourself in the head on the top support where the ramp comes up and knock yourself out completely. I'm like, well, that doesn't help. I'm dead, right? He's like, well, you knock yourself out pretty good. I'm like, well, what happens to me? He's like, well, it's time to go meet the other people. We'll go figure this part out. No, man. And so he made me wait like 2 hours. Like, I didn't know if I had a dead character or not. I didn't know what had happened to me. Like, I was knocked out. It was beautiful storytelling. Perfect the way he did it. And I came back, like, when we finally met up and everything, he's like, and he starts off, he's like, okay, you wake up in a hospital bed. You're alive. regardless of your fucking role, you're alive.
Maybe some brain trauma.
You know, yeah, that would have been clever if he did that. He's like, before you witness a Force-sensitive, your mercenary friend, your uncle who owns the spaceport that you were working at, and like someone from the Jedi Council, and like it went from there. But like that was like one of my more epic fails, was like rolling a 1, knocking myself out when a bomb was exploding on a ship. And a little Deus Ex Machina was involved in that because I should have died.
That's a pretty good storytelling though. When you like keep you on edge for
oh man,
X amount of time.
Oh, it was like an all-day event.
That's cruel at the same time though, but it's brilliant.
Well, yeah, it was perfect. During that same campaign, one of the Force sensitives I saw, she was trying to remove shackles from a captive prisoner from some Sith.
Yeah,
and she rolled a 1, and the DM was a dick. She cut off the captive's hands by accident. So the shackles were removed, just not the way she was hoping.
Oh, that's cruel.
Whereas you could have just like gone up and hit a button, and they would have popped right off. So that was pretty funny.
Ouch.
Best part, the Force-sensitive character was dating the DM at the time. My God. The shit show I saw later on was absolutely hilarious. Oh, she was ripping into him hard the whole car ride home. It was great.
Oh.
It's like, why would you do that to your girlfriend, man? Like, way to show, cool, like, fairness and not favoritize him.
Well,
but
you shouldn't. I mean...
He could have just said something like, okay, you go to expertly remove them. Upon doing that, you sneeze, drop your lightsaber, and it turns off. So you just waste a turn,
Or you just cut in the wrong spot and it doesn't come...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, he cut off her hands. Or she cut off his hands.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't play favoritism. And it's also poking fun at, it's fine. You just can't take it too seriously.
She took it pretty seriously.
That's where you like, you're getting too involved with the characters because it's fake. And with a few words from a DM, anything could technically be reversed. Mm-hmm. So you can't take it too seriously. That's one thing of advice.
I think my last epic fail was one you witnessed when we were developing my RPG that we were trying to make, and I rolled 4 1s on D6s.
I was like, I don't believe you. Let's do this.
Yeah, like I was trying to prove to Smite that like I have the worst luck when it comes to this kind of stuff. And the first time I rolled, just to kind of see what happens with this RPG we were developing, I rolled 4 1s for stats. You're
the best DM, because I would only reverse kobolds the whole time that couldn't hit me. So I would win. I would be like freaking Conan versus all these little troglodyles.
I'm putting all 4 of those points into charisma. I don't smooth talk. I kill things and drool.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of any other way.
Gerp is happy.
Throg.
Oh, so yeah. I guess that leads to the question of the day, since we're getting towards the end of this. Mm-hmm. So question of the day, do you verse Rust Monster? No, you don't verse Rust Monsters. Don't ever do it. Okay? You'll learn when you play. Don't verse Rust Monsters. Okay? You know what I'm talking about. Have you versed Rust Monsters?
No.
Okay.
No.
You're going to kiss all your glorious +5 gear goodbye. But so the question of the podcast, that wasn't actually it, because that was rhetorical. What's your best D&D story? What's your favorite D&D style game to play?
And can we join your group?
Yeah. Right? Yeah. We're lonely. We need friends. So yeah, let us know. There's tons of stories, I know.
There's great stories out there.
Yeah. I mean, they're all over the internet, Reddit, everywhere. And there's a lot of games that we didn't cover. I mean, a lot.
A ton.
But let us know your favorites. And if you want my co-host, I don't mind hosting my own show. You could take him. And you can join your group. Ha! Payback.
Yeah.
Just know he is in...
Here, drink this sparkly cider.
He will be staring at your bestiary book for a long time.
Oh, way to bring that back around.
Yeah.
This is what I get for not drinking.
Exactly. So this is Smite This.
And Mr. Dead Scott.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.